Alright, today we're going to start our last section on the ocean. We've been talking about life in the ocean, motions in the ocean, the composition of water and the chemistry of water, how water is the ultimate recycled product. And we finished life today at the beginning by looking at food webs and the food chains and who is the primary producer in the ocean and what is the difference in photosynthesis and chemical synthesis, and who is our first level consumers and on up to our top consumers in our food chains and food webs in the ocean. Thinking about life in the ocean, there are some problems that life in the ocean is facing, and one of them has to do with this picture. So I want you to take a moment and in your notebook, right under the food web food chain diagram, I want you to write what you think these items have to do with the ocean. And we'll pause for a moment to give you about a minute to look at the plastic bag, the bottle, the six-pack rings, the plastic bag, the shampoo bottle, the water bottle, and some fishing line and a hook, and see what you think they have to do. Now, we're going to watch some the video clips at the end of the notes, but obviously this lesson is on ocean pollution. So 20% of all the pollutants in our water are caused by water activities. And water activities would be recreational boating, it would be cruise ships, it would be anything where humans are interacting with the water and leaving behind pollutants. Cruise ship account for much of that 20% with their gray water, their raw sewage, and their bilge water. And they're not supposed to dump raw sewage in the ocean, but they do dump their gray water, and that refers to the wastewater from going down the drain, from showering and dishwashing and washing hands. Bilge water includes water that's pumped out from the engine room that may or may not have oil, diesel fuel, and other pollutants. Littering is also a major problem for wildlife. And you think, well, what does leaving behind my plastic trash or my paper trash have to do with it? Well, if you look at that picture, that is a pelican skeleton that has decomposed. And inside the rib cage, you can see bottle caps and other trash, because many marine life are what I want to call swoop and gulp feeders, like the pelican. He flies down, he swoops, his bucket-shaped mouth gathers up everything, he spits the water back out and basically swallows the food. And that food is it's not food. It doesn't break down. It doesn't digest. Think about how long plastic lasts in the landfill. So it's not going anywhere in its stomach. Pretty soon the bird thinks it's full, but it's actually starving and his cells don't have the nutrition it needs, and he will die. It's estimated that littering and pollution causes 100,000 deaths of marine mammals, and that would be your whales and your dolphins, 1 million deaths per year for seabirds, and 3 to 4 million deaths per year for fish. Plastic pollution is any thing that is any plastic that's ingested and effectively blocks the digestive system, or it affects the swim bladder in that because the digestive tract is inflated with being full of the plastic products that aren't being digested, the swim bladder doesn't allow the animal to go up and down. Fishing line, six-pack rings, abandoned traps, which are often called ghost fishing, those things can trap and entangle birds by the neck and act like a noose. They can also fish can get caught in them and literally just tears their gills as they try to swim back out of it, because their gills would be right here behind their head, and they would get trapped in that and do damage. And ghost fishing is when old traps are left behind, or old nets, hooks, and marine mammals get caught in them and they cannot get away and get back to the surface, and they can only stay down about 60 minutes without coming back to the surface for more oxygen. And if they're trapped underwater, they will suffocate and die. And you can see The sea turtle is often confused by plastic bags because their eyesight is poor and they look similar to jellyfish floating, which is one of its favorite foods. And you can see that he's got some parts of a plastic bag in his mouth. Presently, with global warming, scientists think that there's an excess of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and this excess of CO2 is also impacting the oceans in that it's changing the chemistry of the sea, and it's causing something called ocean acidification. The more acidic the ocean is, the more species that could be wiped out. If you wipe out several species, they become extinct, then you're going to disrupt the food web. That's not only going to impact life in the ocean, but it's going to impact fishing, it's going to impact tourism and other water activities. And the change is happening fast, and it's going to take fast action to slow or stop this. But over the last 250 years, the oceans have absorbed 530 billion tons of carbon dioxide. This has triggered a 30% increase in how acidic the ocean is. That's the present. The future is that it's taken 250 years for 530 billion tons to be absorbed, and that is going to more than double in the next 85 years. So 85 years, it's going to double, 250 years to get to 530 billion tons. So that is rapid growth. And the more acid in the ocean, the greater the effect on marine life. The polar regions are the first to experience the changes, and we know that there is definite ice melting in the poles, and there's less ice for polar bears to live on, and they need a lot of habitat space, and they're endangered as a result of this loss of habitat. We know that coral reefs are already experiencing bleaching due to the acid in the water. And so we've got a lot of dead zones because the corals are not healthy in color. And we are going to finish today by reading an article about why the corals are so at risk. And we may get that finished today or may have to finish that the next day. But we're definitely going to think about how this acidification of the ocean is impacting species of life.